Live from Swan Hill, this is Paul Murray Live, Our Town.
G'day Australia and welcome to Swan Hill. How good is this joint? We are about 3 3/4 hours away from Melbourne. We're a couple of hours away from Echuca and Bendigo as well. We are here for a great night tonight. How good are the people inside? Make sure everyone's nice and waving. We'll get inside the Lower Murray Inn in a couple of minutes' time. But first, let's get to some of the news of the day. And while we're here in Swan Hill and we're celebrating a great part of Australia, can we start overseas? You may have heard the media got rather excited today about some news involving Donald Trump.
There's growing speculation Donald Trump will be charged in coming days.
Former US President Donald Trump is claiming he will be arrested in 2 days' time and indicted.
A new social media post from former President Trump Saturday morning claiming on his social media platform that he will be arrested Tuesday.
Major new developments involving former President Donald J. Trump. Trump saying today he expects to be arrested on Tuesday.
Former President Trump says his arrest is imminent.
Oh, is Donald Trump going to jail? Well, what he said in his social media post is what I want to show you tonight versus some of the reporting. Yes, he's absolute that there is plans for an arrest coming up this week. He suggests that it is unfair. Now, what is all this about? It's all to do with Stormy Daniels, the adult actress who claims that she had relations with the former president. He says no, but she was offered quite a serious amount of hush money. She took it. But the question here is, well, what's illegal about that? It's his own money. Well, without getting too complicated, put simply, the allegation is that he used his money for his lawyer to pay off Stormy Daniels. But the suggestion here is that, and according to CNN, while hush money payments aren't illegal, prosecutors are weighing whether to charge Trump with falsifying business records of the Trump organisation for how it reflected the reimbursement payment to Cohen. So put simply, it's not the payment, it's not the lawyer, it's the paperwork of the payment. Prosecutors are also trying to work out whether to charge Trump with falsifying business records in the first degree. That means he meant to do it. If he meant to do it, well then, potentially 1 year in jail. But as everything to do with Trump, it's complicated. Remember, we are talking about a paperwork issue here, not the payment itself. So is it technically going to be a crime? Well, I'm not a lawyer in the United States nor a court, but what is going to make this particularly controversial is, remember, Trump has already announced that he is running for president. He is a former president. Generally speaking, that means hands off. We certainly know that there's plenty of examples of current and former presidents who, well, if we were applying this sort of scrutiny, something might happen. And then there's the issue here about the person who is leading the prosecution. The Attorney General in New York is, of course, a Democrat. And she largely, before she even became the chief law officer in New York, searching for anything to charge him with. And it seems the best they can do is paperwork on his own money to his own lawyer to pay off Stormy Daniels, who took the money and agreed to the shut-up payment. She, when she was running for the job, said that she would go after Trump. This is what she said on the night she won the election, before there was even any evidence to go after Trump.
We must do our job to ensure that the man currently occupying the Oval Office is held accountable to any and everything he has done to compromise our values and the trust and the safety of our state and our union.
So whatever the facts are, the politics is very obvious here. That Trump, the great bogeyman for the left, is somebody they've desperately wanted to put in jail. But the reality of him going through a court process, being found guilty and jailed sometime between now and November next year seems to be unlikely, which means the reaction, particularly from people that have been long-term Trump loyalists, is ferocious.
But the police state and this abomination is here right now. This is third world BS. That's exactly what this is. This is the kind of story you're used to reading out of North Korea, but it's here in the United States right now.
As for Democrats, they hated the suggestion that Trump was wanting people to relive January the 6th. This was a rather subtle move from a Democratic congresswoman.
I have never seen, most people have never seen or believed what we would have a president who has acted in the way that he has, who has disrespected the Constitution of the United States of America, who has lied, who has tried to organize domestic terrorists.
Now, she worked all of that out off one word. All of the news that you heard today about Trump demanding protesters and a rerun of January the 6th came from one word. This was the one word that he had in his post on his own social media network, Truth Social, protest. Now, exactly what form those protests take, we'll have to wait and see. But why are we talking about this at all tonight, let alone at the start of tonight's show? If this is true, this will be the news story of the week, or if not one of the biggest of the year so far. So this is what his lawyer told CNN today.
An attorney for former President Trump blames the media for Trump's claim that he'll be arrested on Tuesday in Manhattan. In a statement to CNN, Joe Tacopina says, "No one tells us anything, which is very frustrating. President Trump is basing his response on press reports and the fact that this is a political prosecution and the DA leaks things to the press instead of communicating to the lawyers as they should."
So do the Democrats want to put Trump in jail for anything? You betcha. Is it definite that he's going to be arrested on Tuesday? We don't know. We're in a feedback loop here of the former president reacting to the media, who are reacting to the leaks that they are getting out of the Democrat prosecutors. But remember, all of this is about paperwork, not about stealing money from anyone else, not about robbing it from the company, but about paperwork. Compare that to the scenario that's currently playing out with the current president of the United States, whose family members have got very rich because they just happen to have the last name of Joe Biden.
House Oversight Chairman James Comer says he's discovered another one of President Biden's family members may be involved in influence peddling.
So we've got a problem here.
The new accusation comes after Comer subpoenaed Bank of America for a whopping 14 years worth of bank records related to 3 associates of Hunter Biden, including Rob Walker, a former Clinton official. Comer says Walker's account activity reveals it received a $3 million wire from individuals associated with the Chinese Communist Party about 2 months after then Vice President Biden left office. He explains the Walker account then transferred those funds into the accounts of 3 Biden family members, including someone they've never investigated before.
And we learned that a Chinese bank was giving the Biden family money. Hunter got money, the brother got money, and his daughter-in-law got money as well. She's a school counsellor. Why did that happen? What deal would a Chinese bank have to do? But Donald Trump must go to jail because of a paperwork filing. And then, of course, the current president of the United States openly brags about how he used $1 billion in funding to get Ukraine to do what he wanted them to do.
And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired.
That's what he does with taxpayer funds. Chinese bank paying off family members, clearly, obviously, the inference being for access. And then there's the secret documents that have been in more than one location.
The FBI is searching President Biden's home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, right now. This is part of the ongoing investigation into his handling of classified documents. Biden's attorney put out a statement saying that the search was planned in advance and that the president is cooperating. Today's search now makes it the 3rd known location that federal agents have gone through to look for classified material at the properties associated with President Biden.
Yeah, Donald Trump's paperwork's the problem. Back here in Australia, the biggest event of the New South Wales election, bar the election itself, will happen here on Sky News on Wednesday night. In prime time, unlike the debates that have happened on Channel 9 and Channel 7 that were hidden in the middle of the day, the People's Forum will happen Wednesday night. Mark Latham will respond to the People's Forum here on Paul Murray Live, so make sure you're watching all Wednesday night long on top of when you normally watch. But this is the most boring election I could possibly remember. And this is for total Labor control across the entire country. You thought I'd be more fired up. How can I be? As for the actual promises, the Financial Review has worked out that despite the fact that the state's broke, the state's in more debt than ever before, both parties have been promising more than $11 billion worth of new stuff, free stuff, new stuff to be built, all, of course, with the credit card. As for today, the Liberal Party, 1 week out, or, well, T-minus 6 days, it was the great legend of John Winston Howard trying to throw some gold dust the Premier's way, and the Premier going hard after Labor on the economy.
Because as John Howard knows, and I know, Labor will make a difficult time even worse. We cannot afford a Labor government in New South Wales because we know that you and your family will pay more under Labor. That is always the Labor way. They can't manage money, so they come after yours.
Economy didn't work in Victoria. It didn't work federally. Will it work in New South Wales? We'll find out. As for Chris Minns, this bloke thinks by this time next week he's on his way to being Premier.
Friends, over the next 6 days, we've got a chance to choose a better future for New South Wales, but by choosing a united, disciplined, energised Labor government for New South Wales. We can do it. Let's start today. Thanks so much, everyone.
But both the Labor Party and the Liberal Party are facing challenges at this state election that are the same as they've faced at state and federal elections and will for the next little while. For the Labor Party, they're being eaten by the Greens. So it was weird today that the Liberal Party has announced that in seats where the Greens might get re-elected or could pick some up, they are preferencing the Greens. But then Labor is preferencing the Teals in the seats where they think they can take off the Liberal Party. The sooner somebody in head office in Labor and Liberal work out, preference each other, so you stop the Greens, we stop the Teals, we stop the Teals, you stop the Greens, the better it will be. Now, you know that I care a lot about how people feel, particularly the people on the fringes of our society, people in regional areas like this into our biggest towns. And we got more information. As we spoke about last week, 60 years since Lifeline started taking calls and taking care of people, that pressures on people have never been greater. And we've got some data today that shows us the real pressure at the moment when it comes to cost of living is particularly on a group that don't get talked about enough because apparently they had it too good for too long. Middle-aged men. Have a look at this. These are the suicide statistics in New South Wales last year. As you can see, between 35 and 55, the dark blue, blokes. The light blue, females. That is a huge statistic. If you are one of those blokes that is feeling pressure, I want you to know that you matter, that no, not our greatest days are behind us, that your families love you, that your family love you, and that there is support. So make sure that you ring Lifeline, you talk to a mate. It's our responsibility as friends and family to talk to somebody who you know is starting to lose touch, starting to feel alone, starting to look like it's all too much, because it is vitally important that these people are amongst us and amongst us for many, many years to come. A couple of other quick things before we start to celebrate this beautiful part of Australia right now. TikTok. Well, guess what? Apparently, TikTok may well have been tracking journalists. Nothing to see here. There's an interesting court case between Telstra and Optus. The fight is about regional mobile phone coverage. Too complicated to talk about here, but if Optus wins this, you might actually have more than one option when it comes to a mobile phone here. And finally, I want to talk about a dear friend of Sky News, of me in particular, and an absolute legend of Australian television. His name is Brian Walsh. Sadly, we learnt in the past couple of days that Brian had died, but Brian was an absolute legend. from radio at 2SM when it was Rocktober, through to Channel 7 and 10 and 9, he was everywhere. And for a huge chunk of his career, in fact, from day one, here at Foxtel. Brian was fully showbiz. And I say that with all the love in the world. He was showbiz. Any chance I had the chance to talk to him, I'd ask about old stories of old shows, but this wasn't a guy who lived in the past. This was a guy who saw the potential in Neighbours back in the 80s, but was also able to come up with the worldwide success of Wentworth in the past few years. He always championed Australian talent. He always championed Sky News, and he was always a friend to me. At any opportunity that we bumped into each other, he was so kind about what he saw as my talent, what he saw as the worthiness of this show, and what he saw as the importance of Sky News. He really loved Our Town shows because they were live, they were in the real world, and they were celebrating real Australia. Brian, we are forever thankful for all of the support that you gave to Sky News, for all of the titanic strength that you put behind Foxtel, and for all of the friendship and mentoring that you gave little old me. This show is well and truly for you. Brian Walsh, an absolute legend of Australian television. Sadly, no longer with us, but always and forever in our hearts and in every creative decision we make going forward. Here in Swan Hill, there are many things to do, and you know that we love trying to find different ways to get around the country. I think we came up with a good one here in Swan Hill. This year, wherever we go in the country, we want to find a different way to get around town. And when it comes to Swan Hill, they've got a perfect replica of a boat that used to service the Murray River back in the 1860s. Welcome to Paddle Steam. Come on. G'day. Thank you very much. Good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Excellent. Good office you've got here. Now, before Albo made us all buy electric cars, of course, there was petrol. Before petrol, there was steam. And when it came to getting around on the river, the way that that powered was a giant paddle. Yes, kids, at home, this was old school technology, and it still works in 2023. Okay, I tell a little lie. Yes, it used to be a steamboat. In the 1970s, they put a diesel engine in it. But every single day, families from around the area, the state and the whole country want to feel what it was like to get around the old school way, which is the best school way. Not everything's like the 1850s.
Now, the Murray River we're cruising on today starts off up in the Snowy Mountains, stretches for 2,560 kilometres down the Southern Ocean at Goulburn, South Australia. First discovered in 1824 by Him and Hobble when they crossed the River Albury.
The mighty Murray River. I wish I could claim it as my own, but I've already got a coach service. I'm kidding. 2,500 kilometres long from New South Wales, the border with Victoria and to South Australia. It's the third longest navigatable river in the entire world, and this is the best way to see it. While beautiful just to cruise along, of course, the Murray River is a lifeblood of Australian agriculture. The water that comes all the way from the Snowy Mountains through to South Australia keeps farms alive. The river supports 7,300 irrigated agriculture businesses. It produces about $22 billion a year worth of food and fibre. That's 40% of all of the farms, and 40% of all Australian farms are here in the basin. The river itself provides water to about 1.5 million households. And there's plenty that we eat that is directly affected by the mighty river and its beautiful waters. Like 100% of the rice grown in Australia comes from this basin. The irrigated produce, overall half of everything we produce comes from the Murray-Darling Basin. 96% of cotton, 74% of grapes, 46% of fruit and 30% of dairy. All off the top of my head. And I think you can tell one of the best ways to enhance the experience is to have a couple of coldies on the way. You can take this ride twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. One of many awesome things that you can do when you're here in Swan Hill. Now let's talk about some of the people who call this place home and are part of the business of this region, and certainly many of the products that people love here. Let's have a chat right now to Sally, who's a dairy farmer. She's a fifth-generation dairy farmer, and Isabel, who is an owner of an estate that grows olives and lavender. Ladies, thank you very much. So, fifth generation in the dairy business. When was the last time you had a sleep in?
Well, we're getting pretty big now, so sometimes I do get a sleep.
Oh, you're slackening off.
Yeah, that's right.
What happened to those 3 a.m. starts, mate? Why this area? What's so good about that agriculture? What is so good about the area naturally for dairy farming?
For dairy farming, Northern Victoria historically has been a really great spot because there's access to irrigation water, and for us, for feeding the cows grain, we're obviously really close to the Mallee, so that's a great advantage.
This is it. What about lavender? Why is lavender what you decided to get involved in? Certainly, I know that Madison, who's my producer helping out, she does all the real work on the show. I just sit here. She's particularly excited that you give people the opportunity to come and collect their own.
Yes. Well, we did lavender as a secondary crop because we lost an olive harvest due to the wind blowing all the blossom off. So we decided to do the lavender, and it's a perfect climate for it. And I love lavender too, so we predominantly do culinary lavender. And we make lavender gelato.
Oh, hello.
Lavender gin.
Lovely.
And we get Booze, the local cafe, to make lavender scones for us.
How do you not fall asleep? Lavender is one of the lovely things that get people to fall asleep as well. Yeah. But olives is the main game, right?
Olives are the main game, yes. Table olives and olive oil.
But your story is a little bit different. Not born and bred. You sort of uprooted and this was a new life. Tell me what you did before you did this.
So I've been a podiatrist for 30 years.
Right.
Yes.
So feet done.
Yep.
Therefore, I need to get rid of the smell of feet, lavender.
Lavender. Yeah.
And olives. I'm on to what you're into. Right, excellent. All right, so when did you make that choice?
Well, it happened by accident, really. So we had a podiatry clinic in Tasmania, and we were visiting some friends, and we were looking for some land to buy. And we ended up buying a block of land, and behind that was an olive grove, which was also for sale. So we ended up buying that as well. We went back to Tasmania and we sold our clinic, and then we decided to come back and try giving it a go.
No more dirty feet, just lavender and olives. I love it here. Now, also, give us an idea, Sally, when you have done this for as long as your family has, obviously there would have been times where you try to do it slightly differently, somebody's telling you to do it a different way. No doubt you end up winning the argument. I just have an instinctive feeling as a father of daughters that might be the way that it worked. But what have you been able to do differently than, say, other generations haven't been able to do? And how do things like the internet, all sort of e-commerce mean you can spread out a lot further than maybe they used to?
Yeah, sure. So what we've done is value out our products, kind of like what Izzy's doing. So we actually built a little factory on our farm, the Milk Enhancement Centre. We don't like food doesn't come from a factory; it should come from
a Milk Enhancement Centre. How 21st century is that? She's a dairy farmer that sleeps in and has a Milk Enhancement Centre.
And so we just decided that we wanted to diversify a small amount of the milk we produce and value add it. So we do full cream milk, natural pot set yogurt, and Australia's best chocolate milk.
All right, now, before we get to that claim, can we get a shot of the product here? Because I want people to see this. If they're able to see it online, see it in a shop, make sure that you support Sally and her family after seeing her here on this show. Why is that the best chocolate milk in Australia?
Because we take the best milk in Australia, which is ours.
Fair.
And we don't do anything except pasteurise it, and we add Belgian chocolate to it.
Geez, hello.
So it's the world's best chocolate with Australia's best milk, and we put it in a glass bottle and send it to you.
Well, Isabel, do you agree that it's... No, I won't.
It's really good.
You're a big fan of that. All right, tell us about what you do once things get off the farm. Are you basically a farm-based business, or are you wanting to send things all over the place?
So we have an online sales, and we do markets currently at the moment, predominantly down in Melbourne every weekend. So that is a lot of travelling. So we're predominantly now trying to look for wholesalers and distributors. And then we also have the farm shop where people can come and do farm stays in the tiny house and learn about farming and how we do things and buy our products. So we don't travel as much.
What's different about regional life in 23 as opposed to maybe even turn of the century or even a little bit earlier than that? Isn't it ridiculous? We all sort of so old we can say turn of the century. I mean, we're at a place, of course, that has got its history in the middle of the 1800s right now, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what's different? Are there advantages now that there weren't before in regional areas? Are there things that are harder?
I guess for a dairy farmer, an on-farm dairy producer, chilled transport is the obvious one. So we can get our products out to fair whack of Victoria, and the chocolate milk makes it all the way to the Gold Coast. So, yeah, that's probably...
Well, they're very discerning about their milk on the GC, certainly. This is the schoolies' choice, all right, everyone? Schoolies' choice, they're fancy now. They like the Belgian chocolate in their chocolate rather than the old school that's around. Isabel, are you in for life now? You here, Swan Hill forever?
Yes, we love it. Yeah, wouldn't change it for the world now.
A little better than Tassie. God love Tassie, but the weather, you know. Yeah,
it's very, very cold, and I grew up in the city, so the rural life is amazing.
So tell me, as somebody who comes into a community like this, about how welcoming it is, how it helps with the setup of a business, how people tip you off on things. Because, Sally, no doubt, I would imagine that this region is like so many others that we go to every single month, where beer bottles fall over occasionally while people are having fun. Geez, but tell you what, we're 26 minutes into the show and somebody already needs a taxi. All right, well, I'll ring the bloke and he'll pick you up in a second. But still, give us an idea about how this community comes together to help a new person.
Yeah, so we've been very, very much welcomed. Lots of the local farmers and producers have helped us, with information about setting up an olive grove, and have helped us out with some building projects. We've been integrated into the local clubs. We've met some amazing people like Sally at farmers markets who come and help you if you need to be helped. It's a great social area.
Yeah, and then Sally, for you, when new blood comes into the town, how does it invigorate? How does it change an area?
Well, I think it's great because it just adds another string to our bow, in terms of what we produce and what people can come and see here. So it's great when someone has a new idea and everybody goes, yeah, they're having a crack, let's support them.
Yeah, bloody oath. Guys, thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. Congrats on the product. Leave it there to be sampled. We'll come and get some lavender from you tomorrow. Thank you very much to Isabel and to Sally. Stick around, because I want to show you right now here with Holly Edwards-Smith, who has been spending plenty of time in the region, lots of other things to do and see when you come to Swan Hill and its amazing surrounds.
A 30-minute drive north brings you to Andrew Peace Wines, where the nutritious clay and sandy soil is ideal for both white and red, including their award-winning Austrian Zweigelt.
Oh, it's still, it's got a liveliness on the mid-palate, and it's got some lovely dark fruits that sort of follow through.
From humble beginnings, Andrew Peace Wine has grown. They now export to 42 countries and have the capacity to hold up to 62 million litres of wine. Andrew Peace Wines reuse 100% of their wastewater and use drip irrigation on the vineyards to protect and preserve the environment. Upon entering the Swan Hill region, Lake Boga offers a first-hand look at a unique vessel, the Catalina Flying Boat. And we're heading down to what was an integral part of this area.
Certainly was. This takes us to the communications bunker. It was a top secret area, even on this depot compound. Communication was coming in and going out of top secret nature.
The Catalina depot operated from 1942 to 1947, and the museum not only showcases the flying boat, but other 1940s memorabilia, including a Harley-Davidson, a Rolls-Royce, and a 1945 Blitz ambulance. But if you're looking to fully immerse yourself in the ways of the past, Swan Hill's Pioneer Settlement is the place to go. Bringing together buildings and traditions from across the state, this tourist attraction is a replica of what life was like more than 100 years ago.
It is a history of a town built around a river.
A town that once relied on horsepower. No seatbelts.
No seatbelts. You're in my hands now.
Once you've had a taste of the transport, you can head to the settlement's general store for a taste of an old-timey sweet. So if we look at these more traditional ones, would these have been the type of sweets that the pioneers would have
Absolutely, yes. A lot of them come from England originally, but our most popular is the raspberry drops.
Raspberry drops, okay.
Would you like to try one?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Please?
They're a bit sour.
They start off sour, and the longer you have it in your mouth, it'll start to sweeten up.
Other top spots include the blacksmiths, where horseshoes are handmade, and the drapery, where with the help of Dot, you can transform yourself into a pioneer. I think I'm ready, Dot. What do we think?
Yes, very good.
And so I've got this little accessory. What would this be used for?
Just to keep the sun off you, turned inside out.
I'm obviously not meant for this era, am I, Dot? A temporary trip back in time that's fun for the whole family.
We broke the umbrella. I apologise to everyone here at Pioneer Settlement. It's very cute. Good on you. That's one for the highlight reel. Very good. By the way, here at Pioneer Settlement, which is the #1 tourist attraction in Swan Hill and the entire region, wonderful things to see through the day, like you've just seen there, or maybe you remember, like I do, from 30 years ago when we came here for a school excursion in Year 9. My dear friend Dawson always remembers the dates. I just ask him. He's always there with the facts. But they've also, apart from the ability to go on the paddle steamer, to come to a great venue like this, there's also this amazing laser light show that they do every single night. Now, if you travel to places like Vegas to go and see the fountains out the front of the Bellagio, forget going that far, come to Swan Hill. Because not only do they have the fountains, but there's this incredible water spray that goes up and creates a giant screen. On that screen is all these sorts of computer projections of the history from millions of years ago through to the future of the region. It is top-notch. It is a must-see. Even if you live in Swan Hill or regions, don't put it off. Come and see this, because I saw it just before the show went to air. I've never seen anything like it, and it is spectacular. Speaking of, have a quick break, and then we've got plenty more here in a moment. I'm Paul Murray, live from Swan Hill. Lovely to be hanging out with you tonight in the heart of the Murray. We are here at Pioneer Settlement in Swan Hill, the Lower Murray Inn. I'm telling you, it looks great on telly. It is amazing to be here in person. And a particular lovely touch here was this wanted dead or alive poster that was, apparently it's legally binding. Dan Andrews has passed that as a piece of legislation, so I'll do my best. Anyway, it is his upper house and he can do what he wants. Anyway, let's get to more with Holly about the Murray River, its history, and all of the different industries that are in and around it, as well as a bit more detail about that light show. Honestly, to be seen to be believed. Let's see if she doesn't break an umbrella this time.
Flowing across 3 states, the Murray River plays an integral role in the prosperity of hundreds of towns, including Swan Hill. It's nestled on the border between New South Wales and Victoria, and is only a 5-hour drive from Adelaide. Founded in 1846, this town has strong ties to its history and to the river it relies on.
Look, the river's very important to Swan Hill, and all towns along the river. That's how they were established initially. You need water for food, and we have a lot of irrigation farming up this way, a lot of dryland farming, and our economy is based around horticultural farming.
Boating, kayaking and camping occur along the Murray River all year long. It's also the perfect spot for keen fishermen to try their luck at catching one of the famous Murray River cod. But if they don't get a bite, Swan Hill has its own ode to the fisherman's favourite, the giant Murray River cod. Les, as the Mayor of Swan Hill, I didn't think there was anyone better to talk about not the elephant in the room or the town, but the big cod in this town. How did it get here?
Well, how did it get here? It was back in early 90s. There was a film made up in this area called 8 Ball. And Arnold is the name of the fish. Arnold got the lead role in that, and as a result, when the movie was finished, he was presented to us, and we love him here in our town.
Known as the wise old man of the river, the cod's significance to the region dates back thousands of years to Aboriginal mythology.
The Aboriginal Dreamtime says that it was the Murray cod called Pondy actually built the Murray River.
And how did Pondy build the Murray River?
Well, just basically by eating out all the dirt as he went along, a big fish, and that's the Dreamtime story.
The story of Pondy and the history of the Murray is told in another one of Swan Hill's odes to its natural environment. the heartbeat of the Murray Light Show. This 25-minute sound and light spectacular is the first of its kind in the world to use a natural river system as its backdrop. The story of the river is brought to life on a 9-metre water screen. Did we like the show?
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it when the big goanna came out.
Located at the Pioneer Settlement, this light show is a must-see for all ages when in Swan Hill.
The Murray River. Its water is life.
Telling you, it's a good show. Let's have a chat with a couple of the local leaders that are in the area. The Nationals leader in Victoria is Peter Walsh, and the Deputy Mayor of this part of Australia is none other than Stuart King. Lads, hello. Give them another round of applause. They're good people. Good blokes who are passionate about their community. Peter, it's obvious about what's amazing around this area, but something that everyone's come and spoken to me, be it from the golf club to pubs, wherever it happens to be, which happens to be the roads once you get out of town. Now, I know you guys fight like buggery for these things, but I tell you what, it's pretty obvious the Premier doesn't drive around here anytime soon, because as soon as, and it's the same in country Queensland, regional Victoria, regional New South Wales, which is as soon as you get out of town, the bumping road starts. The Victorian government, when you go to them and say, please upgrade this road because X million dollars worth of stuff moves on it, what do they say?
Well, first thing they do is put a speed restriction sign on it.
Yes.
So you'll drive around 60k, 40k, don't fix it, just put a sign up and slow people down. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. We've got roads that shift millions and millions of dollars of produce, as you've said in your introduction, and they're falling apart. Wreck cars, don't buy a car that's got low-profile wheels.
Yeah, correct.
You'll wreck it.
Yeah.
The number of cars pulled up on the side of the road with a flat tyre, broken rim, they're everywhere.
It's this thing. I mean, look, we obviously we want to celebrate a region. I don't want to talk anything down here, but it is this reality where, you know, roads are the pipeline which gets the produce that we just talked about with the ladies, that gets people and tourism, all the rest of it. These are vital pieces of infrastructure. And again, you do all the right things, you fill out all the right paperwork, you say the right things, you present the right case. Again, we can get into sort of the politics of things, but people in Melbourne in particular need to understand about the need to support regional areas, including the ways to get to them.
Correct.
So what's your sense of this area and what has been able to be, you know, roads aside, something that's been some big improvements of the past little while, the things that make Swan Hill even better than it was 10 years ago?
Oh, look, the people here are fantastic, and there are opportunities for creating businesses, creating opportunities. There's plenty of work here, so if people are looking for a life change, there's plenty of work if you come to Swan Hill, and plenty of areas for recreation. You've talked about the river. We've got lakes all around us. We've got fishing, so water skiing, sporting facilities abundant. There's plenty of opportunity here.
I'm loving that in every second driveway, boat or jet ski. Boat, jet ski, boat, jet ski. Super. Please tell me, Peter, that you have one of those too.
I don't.
Oh, yeah, I can see you as a jet ski man.
I'm too busy.
That's very true. All right, now again, tell me about representing an area like this and about how important it is that somebody like yourself in a leadership position is able to stand up for people who live here.
Because when you get the opportunity in a leadership position, you can actually deliver for your region. We were very fortunate when we were in government last time. A number of new hospitals were built. Finally, started the hospital here in Swan Hill, but we need stage 2 funded as well, because having those core services of health, of education, is so important to get people to move here. They bring families with them. As Stuart said, there's lots of jobs. Whatever you do, you'd be able to find a job in Swan Hill at the moment. There is so much shortage of labour. We want people to come. We want to make sure we've got the services that their families can actually live here and enjoy life.
So short of literally going to Melbourne, picking people up, driving them in a limo here, how do you attract? How do you get the word out? How do you say, hey, come have a look and maybe think about a life here? Because as Sally was telling us before, not Sally, sorry, the other lady was telling us before, she was coming all the way from Tasmania for a life change.
I guess the best we can do at the moment is really to put the word out there through advertising. We promote our region as a tourism region, but also the economic output that comes out of the region, farming, manufacturing. So that just stresses to people that there's opportunity. There's opportunity here. Advertise for jobs for people to come here, but it's not always easy to get them here. Cost of living's lower here. Cost of buying a house is lower here. there's plenty of things to do. There's plenty of opportunities. We just need government support to be able to provide facilities like Peter's talking about. So, we need a better hospital because we service such a big area, and that's one of the things that people look for when they're moving somewhere.
I mean, Peter, obviously my physical experience hadn't been here for 30 years. Came here as a kid, right? I'm so glad we came back for work, because now we're able to tell the rest of the country, come back, all right? It is everything you remember and a whole lot more. But Peter, what's something that you think can help get more jobs here, get more people taking up some of those jobs?
It's about selling it. It is just about getting the message out, having you here tonight.
Here to help.
Best advertising we could ever have.
Right, get off your backside, move to Swan Hill. Job done, show over.
All right.
Yeah.
Didn't cost a cent.
Not a cent, not a cent.
But it is about promoting the benefits of living here, as we're all been talking about tonight. It's a great place to live, great place to recreate. Might be on the other side of the river, but one of the best golf courses that's not in Victoria, and so on and so on. So it is a great spot to come. And the weather north of the Divide is just so much better. Don't live south of the Divide.
Bloody oath. All right, that's the message. Thank you, lads. Do appreciate it. A local MP, Deputy Mayor as well. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, fellas. Good local representation. Plenty more here from Swan Hill, including, normally we give away a meat tray. Not in Swan Hill. We're getting class next. Welcome back to Swan Hill. Here we are. Hello, everyone. The most patient clapping audience of all time. Rob, who tells everyone when they have to clap, 4 minutes ago, told them they had to start clapping, and they did. Thank you very much, everyone. You've got wonderful payments of a beer cooler off to everyone. All right, now, the Paralympics is a vitally important part of Australian sport. Harvey Norman, who give us the support to be able to come and do shows like this each and every month around the country, are huge supporters of these sporting heroes.
I found that sport for the disabled has a tremendous effect from a social point of view.
In 1948, just after World War II, there was a collection of veterans that were staying at a hospital in London's north. They were being treated by a neurologist who was looking for a way to help paraplegic patients recover. He happened to start a global sporting movement. He organised archery and netball competitions, and just like that, the Paralympics begins. The Paralympics is now a highlight of the sporting calendar every 4 years. It's a big deal internationally, but it's a very big deal here in Australia. We always win more medals and we always do better at the Paralympics than any other international sporting competition. And a lot of that is thanks to the work of Paralympics Australia. They dedicate every day to dismantling inequality for athletes with a disability.
I love you so much.
It's no small task, but there are plenty of very thankful athletes, like our men's wheelchair basketball team.
There's the issue of just the media exposure. You know, we're not a massive sport, especially in wheelchair basketball. We don't have a huge player base or population, so that limits the amount of time that people can see us. Generally, the only time you see people seeing wheelchair basketball is during a Paralympic cycle, during when it's broadcast on the national network.
I think sports broadcasters could, try to broadcast just a little bit more. Not necessarily because we deserve that that spotlight, but more just to give the general public an idea of what we do.
Just 15% of the total high performance money, which is handed out by government, goes to Paralympic programs. 85% goes to Olympic programs. Paralympics Australia also has evidence that Paralympians are being paid less for appearances, if at all. These double standards create the perception that Paralympic athletes are less valued and the competition is less important. That couldn't be anything further from the truth. In fact, I think it's the other way around. And Paralympics Australia wants to change that now. A big part of that is ensuring the future Paralympians of Australia, who call our regions home, don't get cut off or left behind by the tyranny of distance. Swan Hill here in Victoria is the birthplace of a Paralympic legend, Kevin Coombs. He competed in wheelchair basketball at the first ever Paralympic Games in 1960, and he represented his country at a remarkable 5 games. And for the current and future Paralympic basketballers, there is no greater inspiration.
You hear the name like Kevin Coombs, it's a big name and a big part of Australian wheelchair basketball history. It just shows that longevity and commitment that he had to his sport and into life, and all around the Paralympic movement in Australia especially, not even just in wheelchair basketball but in the team itself.
You can't play wheelchair basketball without hearing the name or what he's done.
I'm from Warrnambool, which is a small country town in Victoria as well, and yeah, it's just like shown that you can do a lot like without a lot of people around you.
And what the Australian men's wheelchair team wants you to know is that you can live this dream too. If you're a regional kid who's got aspirations of going to the Paralympics, or just being like these guys is something you can shoot for.
When I first started with wheelchair basketball, I think I was about 12 years old, and I tried every other sport that most able-bodied people play, and obviously I wasn't very good at them. To be able to stumble across wheelchair basketball and be able to play against all different ages, male and female, people with different disabilities, and all sort of be on the same level playing field was incredible for me. It really gave me a strong sense of an identity and confidence in myself.
To find an upcoming event near you, get involved in Parasport. The website is paralympic.org.au. Visit it today. It could be the start of something pretty special.
Wheelchair basketball is really a game for everyone. I strongly motivate if you hear about wheelchair basketball near you to come down and give it a try, because it really is an incredible sport.
Here is our moment where we normally give away meat, but no, we're getting classy. Swan Hill, have you got your tickets? Are you ready? You think you got the winner? We will all find out next. Thanks to Harvey Norman, we are here live in Swan Hill. We'll be in Rocky next month, and we're looking forward to going all the way around the country, including Cracker Night and Darwin. See you soon. Welcome back to Swan Hill. You can cut the tension with a knife right now. This good-looking rooster is Jesse Pryor, who's from the Swan Hill Farmers Markets. He's slightly blushing right now, but why wouldn't he? He's a good-looking bloke, as I say. Thank you very much for having us in Swan Hill. Now, tell us about the Farmers Markets once a month.
Once a month, first Sunday of the month, here at Riverside Park, right next to Pioneer Settlement. Big community involvement, so we get primary schools to come. We've done the primary school auction, so we've gotten the farmers to make scarecrows, and the kids have come along and stuffed the scarecrows, and we auction them off.
Awesome.
And we get kids from the high schools, they come down and they help set up the market sometimes, and we get to teach them all about how to set up the market, event management as well.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so you're on all the socials. What do people look for as the name on all the different socials?
We're onto Lifestyle Markets Australia.
Excellent.
So we do markets all around Victoria and regional New South Wales.
Just not on TikTok, it's a Chinese surveillance app. All right, now let's get to, I've read their T's and C's. All right, so this is the prize we're about to give away here from our guest a little bit earlier. Let's jump in here with our winning ticket. It's very exciting here from the Chesney Estate. All right, here it is. Oh, it's an R23. Oh, she wins in the front row. We ring it again. Thank you very much, Jessie. Thank you. Good on you, darling. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming along. Thank you, Swan Hill. Hopefully you've had a good night. We'll hang out after the show. Looking forward to tomorrow. Well, there we go. We're taking every shot we possibly can this evening. All right. Now, we are looking forward to being in Rockhampton this time next month. As I said, we're going to be going to Darwin, WA, South Australia, all over the shop. Or you can always feel free to send me an email, which is paul@skynews.com.au. Or if you've got a suggestion for an Our Town location, it's ourtown@skynews.com.au. Tomorrow night, we're back in the Man Cave as we lead towards the New South Wales election. Looking forward to the coverage there, where Mark Latham will join us on Wednesday night after the Leaders' Debate. But that's then. Swan Hills tonight. You're awesome. We'll see you all again very soon. Here's the Royal Report on Sky News. Love you, Walshy.